I call this meeting to order at 6:02 p.m. Madam Clerk, roll call please.
Director Burnworth,
Here.
Director Goodsill,
Here.
Director Menard,
Here.
Director Proctor,
Here.
Director Berker,
Here.
Director Valdez,
Here.
Director Garcia.
Here.
Would everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, we'll move on to consider approval of the agenda. In the case of an emergency, items may be added to the agenda by a majority vote of the Board of Directors. An emergency is defined as a work stoppage, a crippling disaster, or other activity that severely impairs public health, safety, or both. Items on the agenda may be taken out of sequential order as the priority is determined by the Board of Directors. The Board may take action on any item appearing on the agenda. We have a motion to approve the agenda.
So I second.
I have a motion by Menard and a second by Proctor. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Now move on to item 6, public comments. At this time, the board will hold comments on any agenda item. If any person wishes to be heard, he or she shall stand, address the board, identify themselves, and state the subject for comment. Time limit for each speaker is 3 minutes individually per item to address the board. Individuals who wish to speak on multiple items will be allowed for 4 minutes in total. A total of 15 minutes shall be allocated for each item for all board members of the public. The board may find it necessary to limit the total time allowable for all public comments on items not appearing on the agenda at any one meeting to 1 hour. Do we have anybody here that's for public comments? Just to the podium.
Madam Chairman, members of the board, my name is Ron Rubin. I live in Raleigh. I have comments on 4 different things, and I'll be brief. The last time I spoke before you, I urged you not to give any contracts to UCSD for management of our healthcare district. I still stand by that. They haven't done a thing for El Centro except for run them into debt and bankruptcy, basically. They haven't done anything as the same for El Centro City Council to, keep the public informed in El Centro about what's going on. And, Tri-City had a contract, or was working on a contract with them, and they ended up rejecting that contract because of all the costs that was going to affect their district. And I just don't want to follow that and let them get a second chance of bankrupting our whole system. On PMH, I would urge you not to rush to dissolve, but replace the board of directors, get all your ducks in a row so that it's a seamless transition for the employees. The employees are, as El Centro's employees in the hospital, are excellent employees. They're excellent caregivers. They have their hearts and their lives in their work. And I would urge you to have the least amount of disruption when you go to your job of forming and combining hospitals. the second or the third thing would be on your purchase of El Centro Hospital would be, I really give you credit for some good thinking in your initial proposal. I would hope that you can stand somewhat fast on some of those principles. The whole rest of the valley is taking on that debt, and you haven't really got that in position. You really, long-term debt needs to be financed by taxpayers, because the hospital can't pay, the hospitals cannot pay for that out of operating. They just don't have the capacity. I've been in the hospital here and in San Diego since the last time I talked. And what the insurance companies pay doctors and hospitals is a pittance of what their costs are. And so they have to make it up. And here in Imperial Valley, our hospital's costs are higher because we have so many people that really can't afford to pay. And so they, we as taxpayers, that's part of our responsibility to help take care of that. It's not just the federal government, it's not just the state. I think we can do a better job of it than those people.
Sir, if you can please wrap up your comments, your 4 minutes have elapsed.
Okay. And then the last thing I want to talk, you need to get your election talked about, get it started, because that's a real important part of making this operation a success. Even if our assemblyman thought because it didn't happen, it wasn't important. It was important enough for him to go back and change the law. And so I would urge you to get that done, because if you don't get it sold to the public as something, our health care is going to really suffer in Imperial County. And
Thank you for your comments, Mr. Renner. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other
I
public?
forgot to say, you already have a CEO, so you can take over Brawley without tripping.
Thank you. Do we have any other public comments? Seeing none, we'll move on to closed session. And at that time, now to ask everybody to clear the room.
I'll move back to open session. Do we have any reports out of closed session?
There are no reportable actions taken during closed session.
Perfect.
Move on to item 8, the consent calendar. Any member of the board, staff, or public may request that items from the consent calendar be removed for discussion. Items so removed shall be acted upon separately immediately following approval of items remaining on the consent calendar. Do you have a motion or any adjustments to the consent calendar?
I move to approve the consent calendar.
A second.
I have a motion by Goodsell and a second by Proctor. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Move on to item 9, board comments or reports on meeting events. Do you have any reports on events or meetings attended? No? Seeing none. We have a report by the Education and Outreach.
I do have a little report for us. So our public affairs and strategic counseling consulting services of Ivhd has been busy. Ivhd has had the opportunity to be on the news with local TV affiliates, KYMA, KSWT, and Telemundo. And we also had the opportunity, many of the Ivhd team and many of the local health care professionals were able to participate in a healthy holiday spot that's streamed on various TV channels as well. And then also our website is being finalized with the legal edits that were commented on, provided to our provider here. So that should be coming online here shortly as well.
Thank you, James.
Thank you, James.
And we had a report by 89 winning negotiation committee.
We sent a counteroffer to El Centro last week and received a counter to our counteroffer last night. We will continue to negotiate as much as we can with the city of El Centro through the ad hoc negotiation team, and we hope to get to a final agreement soon.
All right, now we'll move to item 10. Item A, proposed 2025 calendar for regular board meetings.
I'll take this item quickly. There's a calendar of events. You should approve your regularly scheduled board meetings once a year. And so here's the calendar. The only thing I'll say is we included a double asterisk for the California Healthcare District's ACHD annual meeting, which is September 24th to 26th. In case any board members want to attend, it's a good one because it's informative education for board members regarding healthcare districts. It doesn't conflict with the board meeting, but many boards take 1 month off at some point, and I understand folks sometimes take like a summer month off here when it's too hot. That's something that you could decide to table later, but if you want to decide that now, we can eliminate one of the meetings or not. And of course, the board can have special meetings anytime, but this is the proposed calendar event, which is the second Thursday of the month, 6 p.m.
Do you have any questions, comments? Do you have a motion?
I do, we.
I'm sorry. All I was going to say is that we should post this on our website.
Yes. Great.
Okay. So I guess I'm back to moving to approve the calendar dates.
I'll
I
second
don't
it.
think we should take anything off at this point because we've still got a lot ahead of us, so.
I agree. I have a motion by Goodsell, a second by Garcia. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention?
We'll get that on the website, and I'll add a notation that it's 6 p.m.
We'll move on to item B, status of dissolution of Pioneers Memorial Hospital District and PMH/IVHD integration.
Yes. So the board, or the Superior Court ruled in IVHD's favor 2 days ago in a long-awaited decision that sustained Pioneer's demur without leave to amend, terminated the temporary restraining order, and denied Pioneer's request for a stay of the dissolution pending appeal. The court made the order effective January 21st, which means on January 21st, Pioneers will be dissolved by operation of law and by resolution of LAFCO, and IVHD will be the successor agency by operation of law. A recommendation that I am making for the PMH-IVHD integration is to have a series of special board meetings between now and after the 21st, between now and the 21st and immediately after the 21st, so that we can have weekly updates to this board on the status of PMH's dissolution and the smooth transition and turnover of Pioneer's assets, so like the keys and the system. But otherwise, we expect, the only transition here is one board to another board. We do not expect any other significant changes, other than our CEO would step in as the Pioneer CEO once again, which makes operational sense because Pioneer is currently operating without a permanent CEO. Our CEO can weigh in further if you'd like, but he has contacted Pioneer's leadership to request yet again a meeting to discuss the transition to make sure it's effective, orderly, smooth, calm. But I do think that we should have if we have, the board should decide on some special meetings now in advance so that the public and the employees could potentially, know about it and show up if they have questions or if they want to voice concerns or comments that we can alleviate. At this point next week, next Thursday or next Friday, we'll have significantly more information about the status of a potential appeal by Pioneers. They have filed a notice of appeal, but that does not have an effect on the dissolution, which is effective on January 21st. So, and then, assuming the dissolution proceeds as it's supposed to on the 21st, having a meeting on the 23rd or even on the 22nd would make sense so that we can give the full board at the same time an update on, yes, the dissolution happened, Chris is back in the system, everything is business as usual, folks are showing up to work, and we can have a public meeting and maybe a series of workshops with the employees so that if they're nervous or if they have questions about what's this board's direction, what's this board's goals or visions or, any kind of assurances we can give staff that everything is still the same, it's just a new board, I think would be a good idea. So I'm happy to answer any questions, but effective as things stand today, the Pioneers Memorial Healthcare District will be dissolved effective January 21st, and IVHD's Board of Directors will be the successor agency by operation of law, and really, again, nothing else changes.
My thoughts on is if we're going to have that first meeting, it should be over at PMH so that we can talk to people.
Definitely, that's a good idea.
And have a room that's going to accommodate. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to want to ask us questions.
And they
So-
have room. That's
Huh?
there's room in that size.
Okay, and then on top of that, Chris, if you could communicate with the leadership now and find a way to, I guess, get some consensus on good dates because we want to have as many people there as possible.
That's part of the outreach that we've already done. We're just waiting to hear back from them on when they'll meet with us. Initially, when we did this back in December, it was a no. And we're hoping now that they will meet with us and so we can do that and get that information out and try to put something together like collaboratively so that there's a joint message that's going out from us and from PMH to all the staff to help calm them down, and then to the community as well.
So the only other ask is that keep in mind that there's a lot of staff that works like the graveyard shift.
Right.
So if we're going to have our meeting, have it so that if we have our meeting, they can just roll up right into work. And at least they'll get some rest in the morning and then be able to attend the meeting because the last thing you want is them not being present.
I think that we do like
A series.
a series of meetings,
Yeah.
but I think
Different times?
those would be board meetings. I think those would be like all hands meetings with the
Yeah.
And I would say different times of the day.
More workshop than.
And we've done that before as far as like whenever we do like all staff meetings, before we'd always try to stagger, so that we did one in the morning, so as they came off, they could attend. And then we did one later in the day as well for others, so we always try to make sure that we get everybody and have a couple of them. So we would do this.
Thank you.
So would it be in the best interest to have the CEO start generating like a slide deck for the employees to be sent the information so that they can review it, so that they know what the transition,
Yeah.
what the transition is going to look like, and
We
we
do
have
actually have
that
something like that.
there.
Yeah, Chris and I have collaborated on, it's like an FAQ sheet that has a bunch of questions like, will my job change? No. Who will I report to? Same person. Anticipated questions that they'll have and what the answers are. So we've already got those materials made. We can circulate them. It would be great if we could circulate them before the 21st, if PMH will agree to that, so that we can have, again, some calmness there with the staff and with the community,
So I think-
reassuring and reminding folks that the hospital is still open and won't close.
So I think if anything, making those readily available, even if not, if PMH won't allow it, we make them readily available on our own platform so that they can be
Yeah, I think that's
accessed
a good
anytime.
idea.
Good idea.
Yeah, we can do that.
Do we need permission from PMH to circulate those?
Well, we just don't have their system, so like, for
Like,
example,
we-
if you want to send all
And
at
that's,
PMH, we don't have that email address, and we're not part of the internal
What
servers.
about flyers?
Sure, we could do flyers, and I really like the idea of posting it on our website, so that the PMH's employees can just go to our website, click on it, and open it up and have their questions answered. But yeah, we could flyer, we could put notice in the paper, we can do plenty of outreach. And we have already, I mean, the Education and Outreach Ad Hoc Committee and the board chair, oh my goodness, the board chair in the past, I would say 24 hours, has responded to no less than 3 or 4 separate requests for information from the press on, like, what does this mean? And so folks are working on getting those questions answered and having a consistent message out there for the community and the staff. But I do think, absolutely, CEO will have staff meetings and, frequent ones probably at the beginning with folks and departments. But I do think since the biggest change is the board, having an opportunity for folks to address the board directly and see your faces and know who you are and start getting to know you is probably a good idea. It's a way of building that trust and building those relationships, if you're inclined. If so, I recommend we pick some dates now so that folks have them. We can make sure we have quorum, we can make sure folks know about them, we can publicize them ahead of time.
I'm always weird. I'm like, I don't want stuff to blow up in my face. We're gonna change it.
I know. Well, we can schedule them, we can go week to week.
Yeah.
Do it next week and see.
Yeah, because we could even schedule one for example, the 16th and the 23rd, or the 15th and the 22nd. And if something happens that's surprising to us and we don't have possession of Pioneers on the 22nd, we could always meet here or in Calexico and talk about why.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what's better, the 2 Wednesdays or the 2 Thursdays?
Wednesdays.
Because Wednesdays aren't good because you have your city councils, right?
Yeah.
Thursday's fine with me.
Thursdays are usually good.
I can accommodate whatever.
Let's do Thursdays.
Doesn't we set for
Those
Thursday
dates
the
are
16th?
fine with me, 16th and 23rd.
Yeah.
16th and 23rd?
For a special meeting?
Yes.
And then I think that will work out well, because if it does play out on the 21st like that, then that gives us the opportunity, myself and the other executive leadership there, MH, to meet with the staff ahead of time, let them know about the meeting, answer some of the questions they have there, and then they can come and ask questions that would set that up much better than trying to do it sooner, I think.
So now we just need a time element.
Yeah, 6 p.m., 5 p.m.
6 works.
6 works.
Okay.
6?
That's good for people that get off of work, at 5 to be able to make the meeting. Okay.
Are we doing those here, do we think, or?
We'll be doing
I
those
would
in
say we go
Calexico,
with
or?
But the 16th?
Pioneers, the
So
16th here.
We have a kind of standing invite to use this chamber if city council is not using it, so I think we just got to check with them and see if we can utilize this space. If we can, we will. If not, we'll meet in Calexico. And then with the 23rd, if we've got possession of Pioneers, we'll plan to meet at Pioneers. And if not, same. We'll plan to meet here or if unavailable in Calexico.
Okay.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Do we need to vote on that?
No.
Awesome. So with that, we'll move to Calexico urgent care update.
Would that be at 6, I'm sorry, would that be at 6 o'clock as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
6 p.m.
Hi. Chris and I did a walkthrough yesterday of the urgent care center in Calexico. We did get the final of the doors and the glass in, and it's installed, and they're finalizing the building on the south end. So it will be ready shortly. Dr. Tyson's group is already accommodating. In order to get a business permit, a business license, they asked them to move all the furniture into the building. And they've asked Chris and I to do some work with their city council, and we're gonna be doing some walkthroughs of that building with them, hopefully next Tuesday, Wednesday, somewhere in the middle of next week. And also, Dr. Tyson's group wanted to do a soft opening. They were shooting for the 22nd, but that's still playing up in the air. The plan is to have one around that time. So we'll have more to follow, but they started repairing the dead landscaping, and they replaced it already. And they took care of the sign on the front of the building as well, and it's moving along quite well. Actually, while we were there, patient showed up with their baby because they thought it was open, so we discussed making sure that they mark it that it's not open yet and that that's coming soon. But anyways, the building's beginning to look like it's coming together. They deliver a lot of patio furniture because they're gonna have patio furniture in the shade. And I know that, Director Burke had asked me about doing a walk, but just reach out whenever you want and we can schedule a tour as well.
So the opening will be the 22nd?
They want to do a soft opening the 22nd. And, yeah, so that's a maybe a first patient.
And what about the punch list that you had in regards to what needed to
What
be
was that?
done? The punch list?
There are still a few items, minor items on the punch list that they need to work on. A lot of them having to do with the baseboard, the vinyl base that they put on there. The corner, the job that they did on the corner, the finishing is not good, and so we really told them they need to fix that and make it right.
In that what? Pardon?
The finish on the vinyl base,
Okay.
the corners in particular, it's a pretty shoddy job. The other items, there were a couple. There was one of the vents in the bathroom that is still pushing air instead of pulling air, so I think they reversed the polarity on it. They still haven't fixed that yet. The vents for the rest of the building and the negative air room, the timer that they have on that is also backwards. They've got it so that it's only on from 12 a.m. to 4 a.m. and then it shuts off, so they've got it mixed up, so they've got to fix that piece of it. The rest of it is just kind of little stuff here and there as they find it, like, maybe fix a paint thing here or that kind of stuff. Today and tomorrow, they should be finishing up the installation of the X-ray machine in the main side there. So then that was really kind of the last really big piece. And they were doing the water bottle installation filler stations. Those are supposed to happen today, tomorrow, and those are kind of the last pieces that they needed to be able to finalize and actually get the permit. The rest of it, like I said, there was just some minor stuff, and they've done most of it. Tomas did a great job walking through with them, marking all of it with the blue tape, and most of that is done. It's just a few of those pieces, because they're dealing with different people. The same people that did the paint are not the ones who are doing the baseboard, or not the electrical folks, and so it's been them trying to coordinate those people coming back and fixing what they should have.
And the landscaping was taken care of too?
Yeah, actually, they took care of that. It looks really good now. They changed some stuff on it from what it was. It's actually very nice. Nothing's dead.
And the grass won't grow again.
No, I don't think so. So it looks much better.
Chris, what about the EV chargers? I know, so what was going to
There's
talk to
this
I&E or
spot for
something like
that.
that?
Yeah, so they capped the code required for just the setup, which is done. When the inspector went out there, it was sticking out of the ground a little bit because of the trip hazard. They flagged it, but it's been resolved. But my plan was to talk to Comité Cívico and the county to see who has grants for that, so that we could put one up there. It will take some space, which is an issue, and so we'll see.
There's not a lot
Yeah,
for
so we're gonna find out. If you can get a grant, it's a great thing. If not, we'll bring it back to you because that will be an expense if we have to pay it out of our own pocket.
I had a question. You're talking about one license and you're talking about another license? For Tyson needs a license and then what other license?
Oh, it's their occupancy permit is what I'm talking about.
Your occupancy permit. And then
Yeah.
Tyson still has to get a city license?
No, that's the one. Yeah.
Business?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the occupancy permit we received already.
Okay.
Tyson's business license, when the inspector came over, he said, I want everything inside, beds, equipment, everything inside before I out.
Oh, that's the
yeah.
routine, that you're supposed to
Yeah.
have it, like
And-
you're gonna be going to work the
and-
next day.
And they made an appointment for early next week for that. So hopefully we'll have.
Oh, so it didn't have anything in it when they came?
No.
Not the first time.
we did it.
And now that the south side is going to be done, is Dr. Tyson going to occupy that space also or not?
I think that's the question that we're going to bring back to the board on how we want to handle that one going forward. I think there is some good conversation that we need to have that potentially makes more sense for Ivhd to run and occupy that space and they can utilize it. But that'll be a decision in a strategic session that we'll have to do with the board.
Will part of that discussion be also like the signage whether it's IVHD or Dr. Tyson or?
Right, and so right now, they did adjust some of it, so like all on the right side, it just says it has the urgent care piece. In the middle, they moved that, so now it's in the middle, there is a spot for that in the middle. So we would have the ability to remove the signage on the right and then make it IVHD signage if we were to do it that way. So.
Is it part of his contract that he has signage?
Well, no. He still will have signage. It's just his is moved over to the more central side. So this has its own separate entrance on the front, like the pharmacy portion of it does, and then go to the back. That's how you can get into radiology and some of the other areas for the CT. So like we would have the means and ability to do that to accommodate his signage and our signage if we wanted to do them side by side now.
Yeah, it's only if we
Try to do that.
opt to use the other space, but if it's only a Tyson run urgent care, we
Then
probably
it's-
shouldn't have signage, so we don't want to
Yeah,
affiliate
right.
ourselves with
Is
their operating.
the CT machine licensed already?
There's no CT machine in there.
Oh, nothing.
It's, all it is the room is finally complete for that. It's probably one of the biggest CT rooms I've ever seen, like there's planning room.
Twice as big as a normal one.
Yeah, there's plenty of room in there. So it's ready for that. I think they still have to have the physiologist come out and
Well, I
run
think
all
also
of
too,
that.
that would bear on what decision we made to do with that.
Right, but we still, like, right now, the way that it stands, like, it's built, but we don't know that they did everything right, we'll have to wait for that report to come back to make sure that it's appropriate for us to be able to
HCI,
see,
yeah.
well, to be able to put a CT scanner in there.
Right,
Yeah.
okay. Thank you.
Do you have any questions on
And I will say, to that point, just so that you guys do know, there is a big difference there, obviously, if we do that, the HCI level on that will be different, and it's gonna cost us, like, if we did wanna take it over and use it for that as an IVHD, it will cost us probably, if I'm estimating, probably what, 1.3, 1.5 million to bring it up to the HCI code that we would have to have as a hospital. So it'll cost more money to do that, just so you guys know.
Now, I have another question. If Dr. Tyson's not using the south side, in the contract, at the beginning, it was to occupy the whole structure for a certain amount per month.
Right.
Is the rent's going to be the same?
We talked about doing it based off of square footage. If that changes, and he's not occupying that side, then we would change it to a square footage. Again, that would be something that has to be approved by the board, but that would be that would be the remedy that we would use, most likely.
And is he agreeing to this, or, because he already has a contract?
Right, yeah, he's fine with that. He just, however it plays out, he just wants to make sure that there's something there. And he also doesn't want to pay for it if he's not there, so.
He's in his 5-month
Yeah.
agreement right now.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it'll start once they do their soft open.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
It is exciting.
All right, now we'll move to item 11, discussion, consideration, and possible action to approve the following. Item A, interim CEO employment agreement.
In light of the Pioneers' prospective dissolution planned dissolution on January 21st, the possible action for this board, the recommended action, is to approve, we're renaming the interim CEO employment agreement just the CEO employment agreement. But the recommendation would be and the key distinction is, it would change Chris's title from interim to CEO, and it would change Chris's requirement from part-time, which is currently part-time, to full-time. Effective January 21st, subject to the PMHD dissolution occurring on January 21st. But the board had opportunity to discuss in closed session the prospective terms of Chris's employment agreement. So we just need to approve that. The board has the option of approving the employment agreement in open session.
Motion to approve the newly named CEO employment agreement as we do have it here, effective January 21st, 2025, subject to the Pioneer Memorial Healthcare dissolution, and the other things that you had stated.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Medart and a second by Garcia. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I have a question. What's the term? Did you mention it?
So, well, we will finish the edits to the draft agreement that was discussed in closed session, and then it'll be a public document after that. But the term is 3 years. Yeah, it's a 3-year agreement.
And then, do we have a general counsel update?
Oh, I'm sorry. I also have to do, pursuant to the government code, I have to do a brief verbal summary of the CEO executive comp. So it is a 3-year agreement, and with the stated compensation amount of $425,000 base, and other terms as expressed in the employment agreement. So we'll have that in the minutes. General counsel update. I don't have anything substantial to update at this time.
And back to the CEO contract real quick. I just want to state that it's literally the same contract and not PMH.
Yes, it's pretty similar. There's some changes, but substantially similar. I would say almost identical.
Thank you. Now we'll go to, do we have any items for future agenda? Do we have any items that the board would like to discuss? To put on a future agenda item? Seeing none, I'm going to adjourn this meeting at 8:06 p.m.
We'll see you next week.